We set out to explore information about plastic waste, an issue only becoming more pertinent as more and more countries industrialise and urbanise. When breaching the subject of plastic pollution, we quickly realised the notable lack of sociological research on the topic. We have therefore approached the subject by contextualising sociological theory to plastic pollution. Biological and chemical research on plastic pollution are both a major presence and had a large influence on our work. For example, a study by Erickson et al. Estimated that there were over 260,000 tons of plastic pollution in oceans and seas. Plastic is hugely disruptive to ecosystems due to its ability to accumulate and lack of biodegradability. Furthermore, we found that there is a severe lack of education on the issue of plastic pollution. We look at sociological theory and how both macro and micro action can have an impact upon plastic pollution. We also address recent government policy to reduce plastic pollution via multiple initiatives, and some suggested methods to reduce plastic waste, including recent controversial suggestions regarding plastic burning.
Plastic ends up in our oceans, covering our beaches and clogging landfills all over the world. Of the 8.3 billion tonnes of plastic that has been produced, 6.3 billion tonnes is now waste, and only 9% of it has been recycled. It's estimated that if current trends of production and waste management continue, there will be 12 billion tonnes of plastic waste in landfills and the natural environment by 2050. Over 50% of litter found on UK beaches in 2008 was plastic litter. That is a 120% increase from just 1994. In talking about plastic, one of the most significant problems facing the global fight against waste is plastic bags. In the US, the Wall Street Journal estimated that 100 billion plastic shopping bags are used annually, estimating to cost retailers $400 million. The plastic bag tax has been introduced to help try to decrease the use of plastic bags, and in the first year it decreased use by 83%. But is that doing enough? The estimated cost to clean up plastic bags is higher than the production cost, so it's really a matter of avoiding using plastic completely. According to worldwatch.org, if every shopper took just one less plastic bag each month, it could eliminate hundreds of millions of bags in waste a year. So, how much do people know about plastic waste?
We conducted research using a questionnaire which produced empirical results. The purpose of this questionnaire was to gather an insight into plastic usage and plastic waste knowledge from the people of Winchester University. The first question asked was, how often do you use plastic bags when shopping? Results show just below half of respondents sometimes use plastic bags. When stating always, all respondents further stated that they sometimes or always used reusable bags. When asked about their opinion about the 5p tax, all responded positively. A few additional comments include, it's a good idea as not many people buy bags, we should use paper bags, and a few respondents believe that most companies would skimp out on donating the money made from this charge to charity. There was also an option to state that it should be lower, however no one selected that option. When asked, how would you rate education and knowledge surrounding plastic recycling and plastic waste, there were a worryingly high number of respondents who stated that they believe there is a medium to low amount of education surrounding this topic. Only one respondent said education was high and another one believed it was very low. When we asked people to estimate the answers to some plastic waste trivia, we got some interesting results. Our first question asked respondents to estimate the amount of plastic waste produced by the average person in the UK per year. Answers varied from 80 to 500,000 kilograms, with an average of 1,798 kilograms, excluding the 500,000 kilogram response. The correct answer to this question was 75 kilograms, so people interestingly overestimated the amount of plastic waste produced quite significantly. Our next question was, what percentage of marine litter would you say is plastic? Answers to this question were significantly closer to the truth, with the average mean answer being 79.9% and the correct answer being 80%. Clearly, education on this topic is high enough that people knew to estimate a significantly high percentage of plastic marine waste. The final trivia question asked respondents to estimate the decline in plastic bag usage following the introduction of the plastic bag tax. Answers varied from 5 to 80%, with an average mean response of 36.4%, 46.6% lower than the true answer of 83%. Interestingly, many people commented that they believed people did not tend to care about the tax and that it did not reduce plastic bag usage by much at all.
The findings of our questionnaire concluded that many people believe that the education surrounding plastic and plastic waste was relatively low, which correlated well with the diverse answers given to our trivia questions. In terms of plastic usage, the results indicate that people are typically mindful to use reused plastic bags or alternatives when shopping, though with the high number of plastic waste, especially plastic bags, in the environment, one can question to what extent this is representative of the greater population.
We also delved into the effect recycling can positively have on the environment. In recent years, the percentage of recycling across the globe has increased. Current statistics show Wales has the highest percentage of recycling across the UK at 56%. However, globally, Germany has the highest rate of recycling at 66%. In the UK, objects that can be recycled are split into 7 categories. One of these classes are PET, which stands for polyethylene terephthalate. This is objects like plastic bottles, food packaging, and textile products. Another is polyvinyl chloride. This refers to items like window frames, shower curtains, and large squash bottles. However, when objects like plastic bottles are not being recycled properly, they leave a mark on the environment as they take 450 years to decompose, and plastic bags from 10 to 1,000 years to break down. Additionally, by not recycling items, we put at least 600 different marine species in danger. This is due to 8 million tonnes of plastic being discarded. There are campaigns and awareness schemes that are trying to put an end to pollution. Scotland has recently announced plans to ban the use of plastic cotton buds, as so many of them end up on beaches. This is just one object that can participate in mass damage to our marine life. National Geographic currently have a pledge that people can participate in to reduce the amount of plastic that on average is not being recycled. The campaign is trying to cut down 1 billion pieces of plastic from reaching our ocean by 2020. Over 66,000 people have completed this pledge so far.
A paper by Oates and MacDonald, cleverly entitled Is Green Pink or Blue?, explored the gender diversity in recycling practices and found some interesting results. As the table shows, females were much more inclined to initiate recycling within multiple-person households, while joint sustaining of recycling was the highest in the same type of household. Interestingly, the article concluded that men were unlikely to initiate recycling or to recycle alone, but their engagement increased within joint or female-initiated households. This indicates an interesting gender dynamic within responsible waste disposal. In terms of initiating and sustaining recycling, the study found that those who initiated the activity were more than likely the ones who became responsible for it in the day-to-day. Recycling programs are another implemented strategy to try and improve the level of recycling. In the US, curbside recycling collection programs have increased significantly. The Environmental Protection Agency estimated that the number of these programs had increased from 1,000 to 7,500 between 1988 and 1995, providing 48% of the US population with access to recycling collection programs by the mid-1990s. A new study in 2018, conducted by the Harris Poll, found that 79% of Americans have now got access to curbside recycling programs, showing the continued increase in recycling availability. Further, in terms of opinions on recycling, the study found that 88% of those surveyed have the opinion that recycling services are valuable. Environmental sociology has taken strides to improve research into recycling and waste management, as the risk of plastic pollution is moving more into the public eye. As research into this continues, one must hope that the government takes notice and takes steps to help.
The most well-known policy to reduce plastic waste in recent years is the plastic bag tax, stating that any company with over 250 employees must charge 5 pence for any plastic bags provided to customers. This is an extremely effective scheme, reducing plastic bag usage in the UK by over 80%. The UK has regulations regarding any company that handles more than 50 tonnes of plastic packaging per year. These regulations aim to reduce waste and increase recyclable goods by obligating businesses to recycle percentages of their waste. There is also EU policy on waste packaging. In the Circular Economy Strategy, the EU created a target of 75% of all packaging waste being recycled. Since the EU regulates products within member states, this target may be a real indicator of change. The plastic bag tax may also have some indirect impacts on plastic waste. Recently, it has come to public attention that plastic straws and disposable cups are also issues in terms of marine biology and their impacts.
From a Marxist perspective in a capitalist economy, the only way to change corporate behaviour in regard to climate change is to make it economically viable to be green. So a study by Panda Singh and Mishra examined a process called thermolysis. This process is the heating of a product in the absence of oxygen. They found that plastic breaks down into usable fuel under thermolysis. Plastic waste fuel is actually a subtle improvement on gasoline in regard to gross calorific value. However, this method isn't removing the pollution from plastic entirely. The process of burning these fuels will still release greenhouse gases, and to many this may seem like shifting the burden from our oceans to our atmosphere. The issue of plastic comes from its hydrocarbon structure. Hydrocarbons are very stable chemically, so when extracted, hydrocarbons are going to exist in our atmospheres and habitats for hundreds of years in one form or another. Postmodernists argue that in modern societies, large macrostructures have diminished effectiveness. In modern free market economies, states have limited power and no incentive to educate people on environmental issues such as plastic pollution. In contemporary society, one of the most impactful methods of educating others on environmental issues is social media accounts, such as the Twitter for Eric Solheim, who is the head of the UN Environment, who has amassed 73.8 thousand followers who see him discussing global green issues. This is a postmodern means to educate the masses on green issues.
Plastic waste is undeniably a global issue. What we've found during this project is that there is a woeful lack of information around plastic. Government policy to reduce plastic waste has had a major impact. However, macro action may not be enough. Goffman suggested in a presidential address that we subtly alter the perceptions of those we interact with, referring to these as interaction orders. This means that by recycling, we influence others to recycle, meaning that the action of recycling around others is subtly more impactful than the mass of the material recycled. The reason we place such an emphasis on information and action in this project is because it's time to act. The case for action is there, we are simply failing to act upon said case. Plastic pollution is already doing unconceivable damage to marine life, and the problem will only get worse with time. The major obstacle we identified was the lack of adaptation. Companies and governments are unwilling to make fundamental changes to fix the issue, instead opting for small taxes and subtle changes to packaging. It seems that until we change our approach to waste, our seas are progressing rapidly toward the point of irreparable damage.